I was lying in that hospital bed on my 5th night, staring at the ceiling tiles I had memorized by then. My left leg was in a cast, 3 broken ribs made every breath hurt, and the worst pain was not physical. It was the empty chair beside my bed. My wife had not visited once, not once. Every time footsteps passed my door, I looked up hoping to see her face, but she never came, and I was starting to understand why. Before I tell you what happened next, let me know in the comments where you are watching from. Hit that like button and subscribe, because what my wife said on that phone call changed everything. Let me take you back to where it all started. My name is Caleb. I am 32 years old, and until 3 weeks ago I thought I had a family. I worked the night shift at a metal manufacturing plant in a small town in the Midwest. The work was hard, the hours were long, but the pay was steady. I had been doing it for 6 years, ever since I married Brenda. Brenda was 37 when we met. She had a son from her previous marriage, a boy named Kyle, who was 10 at the time. Now he is 14. I tried my best to be a good stepfather. I really did. I took him to baseball games, helped him with homework, bought him new sneakers when his old ones wore out. But Kyle never warmed up to me. He looked at me like I was an intruder in his life, and honestly, Brenda never did much to change that. We lived in a small 3-bedroom house that I had bought 2 years before I met Brenda. It was not much, but it was mine. I paid the mortgage every month, kept the lawn mowed, fixed things when they broke. When Brenda moved in, she brought Kyle and a lot of baggage I did not understand at first. The first couple of years were okay. Not great, but okay. We had our routines. I worked nights. She worked part-time at a salon during the day. We saw each other in the evenings, had dinner together, watched television. Kyle stayed in his room most of the time playing video games or texting his friends. I tried to include him, but he made it clear he did not want me around. Then about 6 months ago, things started changing. Brenda became distant. She stopped asking about my day. She stopped cooking dinner. She started going out with friends, more often coming home late, smelling like cigarettes and cheap perfume. When I asked her about it, she would snap at me, tell me I was being controlling. Kyle got worse too. He started talking back, slamming doors, breaking things around the house. One time I made spaghetti for dinner, spent an hour cooking it from scratch. Kyle walked into the kitchen, looked at the plate I set in front of him, and swept it onto the floor. The plate shattered. Sauce splattered everywhere. I waited for Brenda to say something to discipline him, to at least tell him that was not okay. Instead, she laughed. She actually laughed and said, "Boys will be boys." I cleaned up the mess alone that night. I remember kneeling on the kitchen floor, picking up pieces of broken ceramic and thinking, when did I become invisible in my own home? But I told myself things would get better. I told myself every marriage has rough patches. I told myself I just needed to be more patient, more understanding. I was wrong. The accident happened on a Monday night. I was working my usual shift operating an industrial metal press. It was around 2 in the morning. I was tired, but I had done this job 1,000 times. I knew every button, every lever, every safety protocol. We were moving a large steel sheet, about 8 feet by 4 feet, weighing close to 600 pounds. It was suspended from a crane hook, and I was guiding it into position. Everything was going fine until I heard a sound I will never forget, a metallic snap. The hook failed. The steel sheet fell. I jumped back, but I was not fast enough. The edge of the sheet caught my left leg and pinned it against the machine frame. Then the full weight of it came down on my left side. I heard my bones break before I felt the pain. It sounded like dry branches snapping. Then the pain hit, and I screamed. I screamed so loud my throat hurt. My coworkers were there in seconds. They lifted the sheet off me. Someone called 911. Someone else held my hand and told me to stay awake. I remember the ceiling lights passing by as they wheeled me out on a stretcher. I remember the siren. I remember thinking Brenda is going to be so worried. I woke up in the emergency room. Bright lights. Doctors and nurses moving fast. Someone was cutting my pants off. Someone else was putting an IV in my arm. A doctor leaned over me and said, "Caleb, You have a compound fracture in your left tibia, 3 broken ribs, some internal bruising. We need to get you into surgery right away." I nodded. I could not speak. The pain was too much. They gave me something, and the world went fuzzy. When I woke up again, I was in a hospital room. The surgery was over. My leg was in a cast from my ankle to my thigh. My ribs were wrapped tight. Every breath hurt. Every movement hurt. But the first thing I thought about was not the pain. It was Brenda. I asked the nurse, "Has my wife come yet?" She checked a clipboard and shook her head. "No visitors for you yet, honey." I told myself she was on her way. She probably had to find someone to watch Kyle. She probably had to drive carefully because she was worried. She would be here soon, but she did not come that day. On the first day, I spent most of my time staring at the door. Every time I heard footsteps in the hallway, my heart jumped. Every time a nurse walked in, I hoped Brenda would be behind her. But she never was. Around me, other patients had visitors. The old man in the bed next to mine had his wife sitting beside him all day. She held his hand, brought him soup from home, adjusted his pillows. Across the hall, a young guy who had been in a car accident had friends stopping by, constantly bringing balloons and flowers and making him laugh. I had no one. My coworkers came by that evening. 3 guys from my shift, good men who I had worked with for years. They brought me a card they had all signed and a small bouquet of flowers. They asked how I was feeling. They told me the company was handling all the medical bills and that I would get workers' compensation. Then one of them asked, "Where's your wife, man?" I lied. I said, "She is home with my stepson. She will come by tomorrow." They nodded, but I could see the pity in their eyes. They knew. Somehow they knew. After they left, I tried calling Brenda. She did not pick up. I called 5 times. On the 6th try, she sent me a text message, just 4 words. "I know. Cannot come today. Busy." That was it. "No. Are you okay?" "No. I love you." "No. I will be there tomorrow. Just busy." I stared at that message for a long time. Then I put my phone down and cried. I cried quietly, so the nurses would not hear. I cried because I was starting to understand something I had been avoiding for months. My wife did not care about me. The second day was worse. I woke up in pain, needing help to use the bathroom, needing help to eat. The nurses were kind, but they were busy. They had other patients. I did not want to be a burden. I called Brenda again. This time she answered, but her voice was annoyed. "What is it, Caleb? I am in the middle of something." "I just wanted to hear your voice," I said. "I miss you." "Uh-huh. Look, I have got to go. Talk later." She hung up before I could say anything else. Kyle did not call. Kyle did not text. My stepson, the boy I had bought birthday presents for, the boy I had driven to soccer practice, the boy I had tried so hard to bond with, did not even ask how I was doing. That night, I could not sleep. The pain was bad, but the loneliness was worse. I lay there thinking about my marriage. I thought about all the times I had tried to make Brenda happy. I thought about the surprise birthday party I threw for her 2 years ago. She barely smiled. I thought about the anniversary trip I planned to the mountains. She complained the entire time. I thought about the necklace I saved up for and gave her last Christmas. She wore it once, then put it in a drawer and never touched it again. I thought about Kyle, too. The new bike I bought him when his old one got stolen. He never said thank you. The time I spent teaching him how to change a tire. He told his friends I did not know what I was doing. The expensive gaming console I got him for his 13th birthday. He said it was the wrong model and threw a fit. And Brenda had always taken his side. Always. No matter what he did, no matter how he treated me, she defended him. She made excuses. She told me I was too sensitive, too demanding, that I needed to understand he was just a kid. But I was starting to see the truth. It was not that Kyle was just a kid. It was that I did not matter to them. I was convenient. I paid the bills. I kept a roof over their heads, but they did not love me. Maybe they never had. On the 3rd night, something happened that changed everything. The man in the bed next to me, the one with the devoted wife, passed away. It was quiet, peaceful. He just stopped breathing. His wife was holding his hand when it happened. She cried, but they were not sad tears. They were grateful tears. She kissed his forehead and whispered, "Thank you for 47 years. I will love you forever." I watched her, and I realized something. That was love. Real love. The kind of love where you show up, where you hold hands in the hard moments, where you are grateful for every second together. I did not have that. I had never had that with Brenda. The fourth day, the nurses started noticing I had no visitors. A nurse named Patricia, a woman in her 50s with kind eyes and a gentle voice, spent extra time in my room. She brought me an extra blanket without me asking. She brought me a magazine to read. She even brought me a cup of real coffee instead of the terrible hospital coffee. "Honey," she said, sitting on the edge of my bed. "Where is your family?" I could not lie to her. I just shook my head. She put her hand on mine. "You deserve better than this." "You know that, right?" I did not answer. But her words stayed with me. On the fifth night, I decided to call Brenda one last time. I needed to hear her voice. I needed to know if there was any part of her that still cared even a little bit. It was 8 o'clock at night. I dialed her number. She picked up on the fourth ring. "What?" Her voice was sharp, irritated. "Brenda," I said softly, "can you please come see me? I am really hurting. I just need you here for a little while." There was silence on the other end. Then I heard something that broke me. She laughed. Not a kind laugh. A mean, mocking laugh. "Come see you, Caleb. You are not worth the gas money. Die fast, or heal quick. Either way, I do not care." I could not breathe. I could not speak. I just held the phone frozen. Then I heard Kyle's voice in the background. "Is that Caleb? Tell him we do not miss him." Brenda laughed again. "Did you hear that, Caleb? We do not miss you." I heard them laughing together. My wife, my stepson, laughing at me while I lay broken in a hospital bed. I hung up. My hands were shaking. Tears were streaming down my face. But underneath the pain, something else was forming. Something cold and clear. Anger, not the hot, explosive kind. The quiet, calculating kind. The kind that leads to action. That night, I did not sleep. I lay in the dark, staring at the ceiling, and I let myself feel everything. The hurt, the betrayal, the humiliation. I let it all wash over me until I was drowning in it. But then, somewhere around 3 in the morning, I stopped crying. I took a breath, a painful one, because of my broken ribs, and I made a decision. If they did not need me, then I did not need them. But I was not going to just walk away quietly. I was going to take back everything that was mine. The next morning, I asked Patricia to bring me my laptop from the locker where they had stored my belongings. She did no questions asked. She just gave me a look that said she understood something had changed. I opened the laptop and started making calls. First, I called my sister, Lauren. She lived one state over about a 4-hour drive. Lauren was 39, divorced, and had always been protective of me. She had never liked Brenda. From the first time they met, Lauren told me, "That woman is using you. I can see it in her eyes." I had not listened then. I was listening now. "Lauren," I said when she picked up, "I need your help." "What happened?" she asked immediately. I could hear the concern in her voice. I told her everything, the accident, the hospital, Brenda's words. When I finished, there was silence. Then Lauren said very calmly, "I will be there tomorrow, and we are going to fix this." Next, I called my old friend Gordon. We went to high school together, and he had gone on to become a lawyer. We had stayed in touch over the years, grabbing beers, occasionally texting on birthdays. I trusted him. "Gordon," I said, "I need legal advice." "Talk to me," he said. I explained the situation, my marriage, the house, the bank accounts. He listened carefully, asking questions here and there. Finally, he said, "Okay, here is the situation. The house is in your name. You bought it before you got married. That means it is your separate property. She has no legal claim to it. As for the bank accounts, if you are both on them, you have every right to withdraw your share. Since you have been the primary earner, that is most of the money, you can transfer it to a personal account. Legally, you are in the clear." "What about her?" I asked. "Can she fight this?" "She can try. Gordon said, but she would not win. You have got documentation of everything. Mortgage payments, bank deposits, utility bills, all in your name. All paid by you. A judge would see exactly what happened here. I thanked him and hung up. Then I logged into our bank account. We had a joint checking account and a joint savings account. I looked at the balances, $32,000. It was 4 years of my hard work, my overtime shifts, my extra hours. Money I had saved for a future that I thought included Brenda. I transferred every cent to a personal account I opened right there from my hospital bed. Then I called the credit card company and canceled all the supplementary cards in Brenda's name. Finally, I called my workers' compensation case manager. The company was going to pay me a settlement for the accident. It was not a fortune, but it was enough to cover my medical bills and give me a cushion while I recovered. I made sure all the paperwork had my personal address, not the house address. By the time I was done, it was late afternoon. I felt lighter. For the first time in 5 days, I felt like I had some control. 2 weeks later, against the doctor's advice, I checked myself out of the hospital. I could walk with crutches. I was still in pain, but I could manage. Patricia hugged me when I left. "You take care of yourself," she said, "and remember what I told you. You deserve better." "I know," I said. "I am working on it." Lauren picked me up in a borrowed pickup truck. She had taken time off work to help me. As we drove away from the hospital, she asked, "Where to?" "The house," I said, "but not to stay." Lauren had done her homework. She knew Brenda's schedule. She knew that on Thursdays Brenda took Kyle to his basketball practice at 3 in the afternoon, and they did not get home until 6. That gave us 3 hours. We pulled up to the house at 3:15. It looked the same as always. Small, neat with the lawn I had mowed 1,000 times, but it did not feel like home anymore. It felt like a prison I was escaping. I unlocked the front door with my key. The house was quiet and messy. Dishes piled in the sink. Laundry overflowing from the hamper. Mail scattered on the counter. Nobody had been taking care of anything. "Let us move fast," Lauren said. We did. Lauren had packed boxes in the truck. We went room by room, taking everything that was mine. My clothes, my shoes, my books, my tools from the garage, the photos of my parents who had passed away years ago, my laptop, my documents, everything. Then I heard a sound that made me stop, a bark. I turned, and there was Rusty, my golden retriever. He was 3 years old, and I had bought him as a puppy. Kyle had immediately claimed him as his dog, but I was the one who fed him, walked him, took him to the vet. I was the one Rusty slept next to every night. Rusty ran to me, his tail wagging so hard his whole body shook. He jumped up, licking my face, whining with joy. I knelt down, hugging him, and I started crying again. "He is coming with us," I said to Lauren. "Damn right he is," she replied. We loaded Rusty into the truck along with his bed, his toys, his food bowls, and his leash. Then we took one last look around the house. It was emptier now, but I did not feel bad. I felt free. I left my house key on the kitchen counter. No note, no explanation, nothing. Lauren had already rented a small apartment for me in the next town over about 40 miles away. It was 1 bedroom small, but clean, with a little balcony where Rusty could sit in the Sunday. It was not much, but it was mine, truly mine. Over the next few days, a moving company I hired went back and collected the furniture that was mine. My bed, my dresser, my television, the couch I had bought. They took it all. I changed my phone number. Only Lauren Gordon and a few close friends had the new one. I deleted all my social media. I wanted to disappear, at least for a while. In my new apartment, I started rebuilding. I went to physical therapy 3 times a week. I walked Rusty around the neighborhood every morning. I cooked simple meals. I read books. I slept better than I had in months, even with the pain from my injuries. Rusty stayed by my side constantly. At night, he slept on the floor next to my bed, his head resting on my hand. He was the only family I needed. Meanwhile, Brenda had no idea. She thought I was still in the hospital. She had not called once to check. She had not asked the hospital for updates. She simply did not care, until the money ran out. 1 month after I left, Brenda tried to use the debit card at a grocery store. It was declined. She tried again. Declined. She checked her phone, logged into the bank account, and saw the balance. $0.00. According to Lauren, who heard this from a neighbor still living on my old street, Brenda screamed right there in the grocery store. She called my old phone number. Disconnected. She tried to reach me at work. They told her I was on medical leave, and they could not give out my personal information. She drove home in a panic. She walked into the house and finally noticed what I had been doing while she was not paying attention. My clothes were gone. My furniture was gone. My belongings were gone. And Rusty was gone. Kyle noticed the dog first. He ran through the house calling for Rusty. When he realized the dog was really gone, he broke down crying. Brenda tried calling the police, but they told her what Gordon had predicted. "Ma'am, your husband has every right to take his own belongings. There is no crime here." She tried calling a lawyer. The lawyer told her the same thing. "The house is in his name. The money was his. The dog was his. You have no legal standing." That was when Brenda lost it completely. Lauren, being the amazing sister she is, had driven back to the old neighborhood to see the fallout. She parked down the street and watched, and she recorded. In the video she sent me, Brenda is standing in the front yard, screaming at the top of her lungs. Kyle is standing next to her crying. Neighbors are peeking out their windows. "He took everything." Brenda is shouting. "Everything. The money, the furniture, even the dog. How could he do this to us?" A neighbor, an older woman, named Mrs. Patterson, who had always been kind to me, walks over. I can hear her voice on the video, calm and steady. "Maybe you should have visited him in the hospital, dear." Brenda turns on her furious. "Mind your own business." But Mrs. Patterson does not back down. "The whole neighborhood knows you did not visit that boy once. He was hurt and alone, and you could not be bothered. Now you are surprised he left. You made your bed, honey." The video ends with Brenda storming back into the house, slamming the door. When I watched that clip sitting on my couch with Rusty's head in my lap, I did not feel angry. I did not feel triumphant. I just felt peace. A quiet, deep peace. Lauren called me right after sending the video. "How do you feel?" she asked. "Free," I said. "I feel free." Over the following weeks, I focused on healing. My leg was getting stronger. My ribs stopped hurting so much. I started applying for new jobs, something with better hours, maybe even a career change. I had the workers' compensation money to hold me over while I figured things out. Gordon helped me file for divorce. It was simple and clean. No kids together, no shared property, no complications. Brenda did not even contest it. I think by then she realized she had no ground to stand on. I heard through the grapevine that she had to move out of the house. Since it was in my name and she could not make the mortgage payments, she had no choice. She and Kyle moved into a small apartment on the other side of town. I also heard that Kyle had to change schools and was not happy about it. I felt bad for the kid for about 5 seconds. Then I remembered him laughing when his mother told me I was not worth the gas money. Some people might think I was cruel. Some people might say I should have handled it differently, maybe tried to work things out. But those people were not lying alone in a hospital bed, broken and in pain, listening to their wife tell them to die fast. I learned something important during all of this. I learned that love is not just a feeling. It is action. It is showing up. It is holding someone's hand when they are scared. It is visiting them in the hospital. It is caring when things are hard. Brenda never loved me. Maybe she liked what I could provide. Maybe she liked having someone to pay the bills and mow the lawn. But she did not love me. And I deserved love. Sitting in my small apartment now, watching Rusty chase a ball on the balcony, I realize I am happier than I have been in years. I am not rich. I am not living in luxury. But I am free. I am surrounded by people who care about me. Lauren visits every weekend. Gordon and I grab lunch once a week. Patricia, the nurse from the hospital, even reached out to check on me. These people, they are my real family. As for Brenda and Kyle, I do not think about them much anymore. I hope they learned something from all this, but I doubt it. Some people never learn. Some people spend their whole lives blaming others for their problems, never looking in the mirror, never taking responsibility. That is not my problem anymore. I have realized something else too. Sometimes walking away is not giving up. Sometimes it is the bravest thing you can do. It takes strength to leave a situation that is destroying you. It takes courage to choose yourself when everyone else expects you to keep sacrificing. And sometimes the people who take you for granted only realize your value when you are gone. But by then, it is too late. And that is exactly how it should be. I do not regret leaving. I do not regret taking back what was mine. I do not regret choosing my own peace over their convenience. And I never will. These days I wake up without dread. I go to bed without anxiety. I smile more. I laugh more. Rusty and I go for long walks, and I actually notice the trees, the sky, the birds singing. Things I had stopped seeing when I was drowning in that toxic marriage. Life is not perfect. I still have pain from my injuries. I still have moments of loneliness, but it is a different kind of loneliness. It is the clean kind, the kind that comes from being alone rather than from being ignored by people who are supposed to love you. And I know now that I will be okay. More than okay, I will thrive, because I finally learned the most important lesson of all. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot love others if you do not love yourself. And you cannot let people treat you like you are worthless just because they refuse to see your worth. I am worth more than gas money. I am worth showing up for. I am worth caring about. And anyone who does not see that does not deserve a place in my life. Sometimes the loudest goodbyes are the ones never said. I never said goodbye to Brenda. I just left. And that silence, that absence, spoke louder than any words ever could. So here I am now, starting over at 32, building a life that is truly mine. Surrounded by a dog who loves me unconditionally and a sister who would drive 4 hours at a moment's notice to help me. Finding peace in simplicity, finding strength in solitude, finding joy in the small things. And you know what? That is enough. That is more than enough. That is everything. Have you ever had to walk away from someone who took you for granted? How did you find the strength to do it? Drop your story in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. And if this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. Share this video with someone who might need to hear it. Someone who is struggling in a relationship where they feel invisible. Someone who needs permission to choose themselves. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for being here. I hope wherever you are, whatever you are going through, you remember that you are valuable. You are worthy, and you deserve people in your life who see that. Take care of yourself, be kind to yourself, and never let anyone make you feel like you are not worth the effort, because you absolutely are.